State of Texas versus Marissa Magana. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Jason Garrett, on.
Defense,
Anthony Zamora for Ms.
are
Magana.
you Marissa Magana?
Yes, sir.
Pronounce your last name.
Magana.
Magana. Okay. All right, so defense is asking for bonds and the cause numbers ending in 61, 63, 65,
Yes, ma'am.
61. The alleged offense date is January 26, 2024.
That's what they just told me.
All right, 63.
October
The-
7th.
Date is October 7th, 2023.
Yes, ma'am.
And 65, the date is October 7th, 2023. Is that correct?
That's the information that they gave me.
All right. So defense is requesting a bond on these three cases. They're listed as state jail felonies.
Yes, ma'am.
So state, what are you requesting for a bond?
The other ones that were listed at also state jails that I mentioned earlier, Judge, so the state would be requesting a $10,000 bond on each.
Judge, the only thing I would present to the court, and I know the court's been doing this a long time. She knew what was going to happen today. We knew we weren't going to be able to process her downstairs. She's here, she's dressed warmly because it may take a day or two. So her appearing in court is not going to be in question. And I'm going to write the bond, so I have no doubt that she's going to make the appearance. I leave it to the court.
Okay. All right. So part of the Miss Magana,
Magana.
I don't know what to do with that G sometimes. All right. Part of my duties in setting bonds is to make sure that community is protected. For example, that no another alleged offenses are committed, right? So this is what the court is going to do. The court can set your bonds in each of these cases at 5,000, but the court is going to order full GPS. Or the court can order it at $10,000 each. And I think that would ensure your appearance without the GPS.
The GPS is going to be restrictive, so I would suggest the $10,000. The $10,000.
All right, then I'm going to follow the agreed recommendation from the state. And your bond and each of these cause numbers is going to be set at $10,000. And the court will note for the record that these cases appear to be recently indicted. All right, so there's to be no contact with the complainants. And what is the co-defendant's name?
Eric.
Looks like Eric,
Kelley. I'm sorry, Eric Kelley.
How do you spell the Eric
ERIK.
and the last name?
Last name is KELLE.
All right, so in each case, there's to be no contact with the complainants and no contact with Erik Kelley.
And Judge, both have court settings this morning,
Okay,
other than the courthouse, courtroom, or what have you.
all right. Next, we're going to take up the bond is set at $55,000.
Judge, the bond was initially set at 50. We made that bond. I made that bond. The bond was increased by Judge Herr, but I don't believe she had the court dates. If that January 26th date is accurate, that's the only one that's showing after the date. I'm thinking there's an error with that. All these were prior to this offense, but I believe that's why I believe Judge Herr increased it from 50 to 55. I would humbly ask the court to reinstate the 50. Mainly because it's less work for me to go through this process, but it's still a high enough to secure her appearance.
The judge, I just became aware from another CCBA that I believe that this individual may have some charges outside of Harris County, particularly in Guadalupe County, the charge of first degree aggravated robbery. So that this may be. That's not correct.
That's not correct at all. Not at all.
All right, so let's do this. On this case, we're going to step back and state if you all can call the prosecutor over in Guadalupe County, and then
That's fair.
they'll confer with you. And what I can tell you is, once they've spoken to the attorneys in Guadalupe County, the court will make a determination on whether the bond of $55,000 is appropriate or not.
Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. Great. All right, so what answers do you have for me on Magana?
Additional fraud, credit card, and state jail felonies in Guadalupe County.
All right, do we know the dates of offenses?
I'm sorry, we took on that.
Judge, if you're asking me, I think those might be after. I'm not handling the dates of the offenses.
All right, so,
So nothing aggravated.
Austin State was March 2nd, 2024, yeah. And
All right.
there's a death by mail, first degree, unlawful use of criminal instrument, fraud of 5 to 10. And,
oh, we're not on the record. Yeah, I'll
also,
let you know when we're back on the record.
it's also like a possession charge, less than a gram, possession of dangerous drug, including a police officer.
All right, so I will tell you, on this case, if you want the bond to remain at 55,000, she's gonna have to be on GPS. Because there appears to be cases all over.
We thought that if you would, you mean, you would reinstate the 50? And just for work for me, I mean, it's.
No, I understand. But, you know, I have to weigh
Yes, ma'am.
certain things on what the bond should be set at. So state, are you gonna have any objections if the bond were reinstated at 50,000, but place her on full GPS?
No.
All right, Miss Magana, if you'll come down, and I know I'm mispronouncing her name
It's Magana.
every
Magana.
time.
I do Magana.
All right, so I'm fine then, because whoever printed this paperwork out, they don't have the symbol over the end, so. State, it's the court's understanding that you have no objections to the bond being reinstated at $50,000, but she's gonna be on full GPS? All right. So the bond then will be set at $50,000. There will be full GPS. There's to be no contact with the complainants. And no contact with Erik Kelley.
And judge, for the court's information, I think they live together, so she's gonna have to make arrangements for that GPS to be established at some other residence.
Yeah. And she's not to be released until the GPS is installed. So the record could be clear. In this case, there is an agreed bond of $50,000, correct, both sides?
Yeah, sure.
The reinstatement of the initial.
Yes. See, your voice just trailed off. There's going to be full GPS, correct?
That is correct.
That's our understanding. Yes,
There's to be no contact with the complainants or Erik Kelley, correct?
That is correct, John.
that's correct.
And she's to remain in custody until GPS is installed.
Yes,
That is correct, John.
Judge. At the
And I'll
present
ask that the fees are waived.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, is there anything else from either side?
No, Judge. Other than we'll see you back on July 30th.
Yes. All right, so where are we on these cases?
Judge, I've got a lot to bring up to the court's attention.
Okay.
Last time we were here, there was warrants out for Marissa. She showed up. We placed her on GPS.
Mhm.
Okay. Since that time, the location that she was staying, she got assaulted. She left. She was in communication with the GPS people. She went to the hospital. She removed her monitor. She's been doing outpatient. She's got nowhere to go now except friends.
Well, when you say she removed her,
She cut her bracelet off. She had a complete melt. I'm not a doctor. I'm thinking it was pretty close to a complete nervous breakdown. I've got the documentation for the court to take a look.
all right, you'll need to talk to the state concerning that and concerning whether or not.
To place her, what we're trying to ask the court, again, she knew the warrants were there. We're here this morning. Her showing up to court is not going to be the issue. She's here all the time. Whenever the court tells her to be, she's here.
But the issue the court has is she cut off the monitor.
Yes.
So you'll need to confer with the state, and I'm going to need evidence presented as to why I should continue her when she cut off the
Right.
monitor.
The only thing I have for the court is the inpatient program and the outpatient mental health issues.
All right, so you'll need to confer
will.
with them. All right.
Judge, and then we'll come back in line.
Yes.
Thank you.
No problem. So, state, are you aware of what's going on?
Yes, Judge.
And the information that defense counsel presented to me was there was an abusive relationship and that then there was a mental health breakdown.
Yes, sir. That's-
And
And I've had the documentation to show Jason as well
Showed me
on the
some
dates.
documentation.
all right, so you're asking that the bonds be reinstated and that should be placed on full GPS.
Yes, the only caveat, and Judge, we're so just thankful that the court's giving us these moments. And so the only problem with the GPS is right now, she has an aunt and a grandmother in Kyle, Texas. She's been.
They will do GPS there.
That'll be good.
The order just has to be written a specific way.
That's the only issue because she doesn't have a place here,
All right.
not a secure place.
All right. Ms. Ferguson, on this case, recall this for the end of August. All right, we're gonna be back, recall August 27th.
Yes, ma'am.
And counsel, you'll need to, we'll go on the record. Court is calling 2024 CR 5961, 5962, 5963, 5964, 5965, State of Texas versus Marissa Magana. Can I have parties announced for the record?
Jason Garahan for the state, Your Honor.
Anthony Zamora for Marissa Magana.
All right. And are you Magana?
Yes.
All right. And defense, we had a discussion off the record. Is the court's understanding in this, you're the attorney who's on the bonds?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you asking that these bonds be reinstated?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And the court did hear off record that there was an issue of an abusive relationship that Ms. Magana, I'm adding too many syllables,
All right.
Ms. Magana had to leave the residence for self-protection, that there was then mental health crisis, and that she was placed in a facility to address the mental health issue. And the defense has shown documentation to the state of that hospitalization. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then the defendant can no longer live where she is due to the abusive relationship. And she does have a place to stay, and that will be in Cal, Texas.
Yes.
All right. And the state is requesting that is in agreement to the bond being reinstated, but asking for full GPS. All right. This is what the court will do. Court will follow your agreement, reinstate the bond in each case at the request of the bondsman, which is defense counsel. The defendant will be placed on partial GPS, and the partial GPS will be for medical appointments only. If there is employment, she'll have to approach at another time to address that. And Ms. Magana, the only reason why, well, one of the reasons why I'm reinstating and placing you back on GPS, because normally people who cut off their monitors, we next hear from them at the jail. The only reason why this is being done is because the court is aware and your counsel has presented documentation of the mental health crisis and because of this relationship. You understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
So do not remove the GPS monitor again, okay?
I understand. I
If,
won't.
if there's a crisis, you need to pick up the phone, call your attorney, call someone
I
so they can give
understand.
you guidance.
I understand. I made a report to the police as well for the sexual assault.
All right. And counsel, you're going to need to prepare that motion for me to sign. They don't have B pages anymore.
Okay, the motion to reinstate? I don't think it was,
Yeah, just put on there, reinstate bond,
okay,
agreed order, reinstate bond. And you'll need to do the partial GPS in there.
okay.
And that the defendant is allowed to reside in Kyle, Texas. All right.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. State of Texas versus Erik Kelley. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state,
Daniel Escobar for the state of Texas.
for the defense? And are you Mr. Kelley?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, defense is asking that his condition GPS be modified. Any objections to the defense's motion?
Judge, the state would ask you remain on partial, but we understand that it's been a good amount of time since he was let out on bail. The state would also understand if you modified it to tracking only.
All right, so with regards to tracking only, is there any no contact orders?
My understanding is yes, Judge, but I need to look into any bond condition.
So what has has been on previously?
Judge, he's been on GPS since he released November 28th last year.
All right, was that full GPS?
It was
All right, so what is he on currently with regards to?
Partial. We had a hearing on March 14th in front of Judge Moore, and he monitored it to partial, or modified it to partial. We had asked for tracking then, but he said, let's see how he does for a while. It's been, I think, 60 days or more. There's been no violations.
All right, state any issues with GPS?
Judge, again, the state would ask for tracking.
All right, then the court is going to grant tracking only, and whatever no contact orders are in place, those are to remain in place. Do you understand? If you violate this, what's going to end up happening is a warrant could be issued for your arrest. You may end up going to jail, or you may end up back on full GPS. Do you understand? Any questions? All right,
Judge, I do have a
Yes.
couple things for the court to know, consider. One, since he's on tracking now, I assume that it'd be okay for him, he had a neighbor who wanted him to help with a 2-week project.
hey, he's just on tracking. The only thing he needs to do is whatever the no contact order is, which I'm assuming, and I don't have access to it.
I haven't pulled up your judge.
All right, is there anything else?
Nothing.
All right, thank you.
For full transparency, then he will be attending a cousin's funeral in Tyler on Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, and are you Mr. Kelly?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And count 2, the charge is aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. That's a second-degree felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 20 years in prison and up to $10,000 fine. Did you understand? Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Been able to assist in his defense, I believe he's confident in his plea.
Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea, the state is proceeding on count 2. They're asking that your punishment be assessed at 2 years in the prison. Do you understand that if I find a deadly weapon was used, there will be an affirmative finding of deadly weapon?
Yes, ma'am.
And there are no applications? Then to the offense in count 2, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
State any evidence.
State offers states exhibit number 1 and attachments.
There's no objection.
The court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments, and the court will review the same. All right, so does anyone want to explain why the court should go forward with this agreement?
Judge, I'm not familiar with the facts of this case.
Okay, sure.
Judge Jason Garaham for the state.
Yes.
And Judge, in this particular case, I'm sorry, I just came in right now from out of court.
Mhm.
My question, I think your question was of why you should proceed with this,
Yes.
is that we've talked to the victim in this case, and we feel that this is an appropriate outcome in this case.
All right. So you've spoken with the complainant and they're aware of this outcome and they're in agreement with this outcome? All right, thank you.
Judge, just so you know as well, Mr. Kelley has been suffering from a lymphoma since he was a child, about 10. He's had a couple occurrences of it, and apparently it's rearing its head again. He has a lymph node in his eye that is significantly swollen or tumor-like, and probably going to need attention on that while he's in custody.
All right, court is finding you guilty. Court will sentence you to 2 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's an affirmative finding of deadly weapon, and there is to be no contact with the following: Ryan Dekrone, Dekrone, Marissa Magana, Magana. Anything?
Marissa Magana, she's not a complainant in this case. That's Mr. Kelly's girlfriend, fiance.
She's the co-defendant. Are you all married?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you all married?
We haven't finished the paperwork, but she's got issues.
As far as I know, and I've checked the record just this morning, she was never a co-defendant in this case.
No, they have her,
Defending a fraudulent use or possession of ID case.
no, they have her listed as defendant number 2 in the,
They never
Paperwork.
charged her.
She haven't done it.
That's correct, Your Honor. I don't think she was ever indicted under this case. I mean, it is listed as like a suspect. I mean, not a suspect, like, as a co-defendant.
they said that suspect 2, which is her, was also found to be armed.
I looked that up. I don't think they even ever charged her with it. They did charge her with fraudulent use or possession of ID stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so, okay.
Yes.
Sorry, Judge, that case was sent over as a ag robbery, but it was rejected for further investigation. That's the extent of it. Usually further investigation means they, well, possibly insufficient evidence on her. But as far as I know, it's been rejected at a intake level by the DA's office.
All right. Then I'll remove that as a part of the sentence. All right, so we're off the record. You have all these health conditions. You need to start making better decisions with your life. You understand? As I'm going to tell you what I tell everybody else. We could not have funding for water or whatever it may be. They will always, and when I say they, the government will always find room to fit people at the Bexar County Jail and to fit people at the prison. There's always room at the prison.
For the cancer treatment as well.
What I'll do is I'll put on their therapeutic community, but you need to let them know that you have medical issues. They usually will have a medical clearance for you before you go. And so they'll see if there's some issues. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good luck to you.